Hi, I'm Kirsty from the Conservation Volunteers and I run our hedgehog conservation project called HogWatch Scotland. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make a small mammal tunnel to help you survey for hedgehogs in your garden or local park. Hedgehogs in the UK have suffered a 46% decline in the last 12 years, and that's mainly due to things like habitat loss, so they're losing the connective habitat like hedges that they need to safely move around the landscape. So as well as some small changes that you can make in your garden, taking part in the garden survey with our small mammal tunnel can really help our conservation project. You can upload your results on our website. So we're just setting out some of the equipment that we're going to need to fill in the tunnel. So we've got our tunnel that we've either bought or made from cardboard, which will have a track and plate inside where we'll pop some sheets of paper. So you'll need a couple of paper clips to pin that down, and then you can either use tent pegs or some pegs to secure it in the ground to make sure it doesn't blow away. To make our wildlife friendly ink, so here I've got a bottle of charcoal powder that you can get online or in any craft stores, so that's absolutely fine for the hedgehog's paws. It won't stain. It's just literally like charcoal that we'd use in any crafting. I've got a little mixing pot here. You can use any kind that you want, and a bit of a paintbrush. So we'll pop some of the charcoal powder inside, and you can use some oil. So I've just got vegetable oil. You just want to make a nice runny mixture that we will paint on to our tracking strips. So I make them using some masking tape. And we'll paint the substance on there, and the only thing left is a little bait dish. So you can either have a little shallow dish or you can just sprinkle it onto the middle of our tracking plate, and today I'm using some cat biscuits. So this is what you're going to use for your base to make your small mammal tunnel. I've got corrugated plastic, but you can use any kind of rigid material like cardboard. So from the main sheet we're going to fold it 3 times over, so it's going to create your triangular tunnel shape. I have some grooves cut in which slot together to hold it in place, but you can use something like parcel tape to tape the top edge shut. Inside I have another piece, so either plastic or cardboard, which we call our tracking plate, which is where we get the hedgehog footprints from. So we're going to leave our tunnel open at both ends. They're going to walk over our sheets of paper, leaving behind prints which have been made by wildlife friendly ink. Step 2 is to create your ink pads. So we're using just standard masking tape, and what you're going to do on the tracking plate is cut 2 strips and make sure that they cover the front and then peel round to the back completely. So they're going to be equidistant from the centre of the plate, and these are going to be the pads that the hedgehogs will walk over from either end to create your prints. The next thing you're going to do is actually make your ink. So I have here some charcoal powder that you can get in any kind of art store, or you can also buy online. It's really safe for wildlife. It's not going to stain on their pads. It's simply just broken down charcoal like you'd use in painting. So we're going to take 1 teaspoon of charcoal powder. In any kind of mixing pot you want to add about 3 teaspoons of vegetable oil. So I've got my well used mixing pot here. Simply just taking a paintbrush, we're going to give it a bit of a stir, and we want to create quite a nice liquid consistency, so quite runny. What you're going to do is take the 2 masking tape strips that you made, and we're simply going to paint our mixture on. So we want to cover it completely with this nice black substance, and you want to make sure that it stays wet enough so that when you put it out into the garden, the first wildlife that comes into your tunnel, you're going to get some nice clear prints left behind. So once we've made sure that's nice and wet, so we're going to get some really clear prints, we're going to add our paper. So just A4 paper. It doesn't have to be fresh, it can be scraps of paper that you have lying around. The best thing that we have to attach it with is just some simple paper clips. So you're going to slot 2 pieces in at either end, paper clipping that down, make sure it's nice and steady, and your tracking plate is almost ready to go. Alright, we're almost ready to pin this down in our garden and start tracking hedgehogs, but we're going to need some bait. So we need something that will encourage the hedgehogs to actually sniff around in our tunnel and come inside to leave us the prints. So what I'm going to use is just some simple cat biscuits. So a nice meaty flavour, try and avoid fish flavours, and that can either go in a sort of shallow dish like I have here that's going to go in the centre, or that's really not necessary if you're just able to scatter some bait in the centre. We don't want to go overboard, so you don't want to give them a full meal. It's just enough that's going to encourage the hedgehogs to come in and investigate your tunnel. And with that, we're almost ready. All that's left is to take our tunnel into the best place possible in your garden to capture some sightings and peg it down to the ground. So I have just normal standard tent pegs here, but you could even use a pencil to push into the ground. When you're going to think about setting up your tunnel, I know that in this garden our hedgehogs tend to come from behind the shed. So we have a nice hedgehog highway behind here, which is a small hole that connects up the gardens in this area and allows hedgehogs to move freely. So we're going to put it against something like a linear feature. So if you have a hedge, a fence, try to avoid the centre of your garden. That's quite a daunting place for hedgehogs to be. They don't tend to want to explore the centre of a space. So when you're thinking about the best place to put it, we want to open at both ends and against a nice linear feature. We're nearly ready for you to set up your survey tunnel in your garden. So the best thing to do is to take the outer shell, fold it up and tape it in position, and then take your track and plate settings and simply just slide it in. So as I mentioned, we know that this sort of corridor here is perfect for hedgehogs in our garden. So we're just going to take it over, pop it in place, making sure again that it's nice and open at both ends, and then there you go. All that's left for you to do is to pin it down in place to make sure it doesn't blow away, and hopefully wait for lots of hedgehogs to pay you a visit. So these are some examples of the results that you can expect on your paper. These are hedgehog prints. So they look like tiny little human hand prints, and they'll be left from the wildlife friendly ink all over your paper. So it won't just be hedgehogs. You can see there's some brush marks from cattails where they've gone through, some slugs and snail marks as well. But we have some really good guides that we'll link to that can help you identify. And you can also get some great fold out guides like this one, so you can measure and know exactly what footprint you're looking for. But it can be really interesting to see all the wildlife that visits your garden. So from things like squirrels to rabbits to bird life. But this is the main thing that we're looking for, some hedgehog footprints that have been left in your tunnel. Now you can upload your results by searching HogWatch Scotland online, or you can also tag us in on social media with some links that will come up at the end of this video. So happy making, happy surveying, and I hope that you find lots of hedgehogs.